I'm Diana Arnold. I'm Nick Arnold's youngest and only daughter. I'm just going to close out the evening for you guys. Joe, thank you so much. How emotional. Wow. This posthumous honoring is completely unbelievable, and we're so lucky. I am a writer, and I think my father would say that the work just speaks for itself, so I'm just going to leave you all with an excerpt from a play that I've written about my father, which is going up in New York City in 3 weeks. Very exciting. Thank you. So my father never ever saw me perform, so this is my debut to him, so I hope this will leave you all with a good night. This is just a little bit about me. I do remember that throughout tragedy there was a lot of laughing. I often say that the crux of me is comedy. Enter my father, the writer, the comedian, the man with the disease, the man born with cerebral palsy. He couldn't hold a pen, but there was a writer in him. What then? Split. The man birthed 3 healthy children. Dear Dad, I am writing this letter to you because I think that letters are the best way to get 2 people together in a room. My grandmother says that we were enough for you. We were enough for him. I repeat, 3 healthy children. We would outlive him. To a man born like that, to a man born with a severe physical handicap, that was enough. We who could walk, we who could listen, we who could run, we who could talk, we who could really run our mouths, and I mean we really outran him, and me the most. I was running so far, so fast, that it wasn't until after he passed that I realized I am him. Allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm sorry, I'm Dee. Born in 1984 to Nick Arnold, I am my father's daughter. I am also a writer, but I am also a woman, and I am also very different than him in that I am not handicapped. My nervous system works better than his did. Again, a split. I can speak clearly to my audiences. This alone is a gift. This posture, this involuntary nature, this constant balance, this grip with toes and tongue and fingertips, and if I don't use it, God, Diana, if I don't use it, I have to use it not to be self-indulgent and reminisce, but rather to celebrate this split, to celebrate these differences. This is a little bit about how someone else you belong to being different makes you absolutely different too. Enter the word tribute. I was a sophomore at Beverly Hills High School. That was pretty cool. I was also 15, and so I was self-absorbed and full of insecurity, and I was poor and smart amongst the wealthy, and I felt very alone. I was an adolescent. It was really hard for me. And then all of a sudden, it happened. So quickly. I remember my father lived across the street. And I remember ambulances visiting. I remember my father's refusing. I remember his skin yellowing. I remember his drinking. I remember the smell, something like fermenting. I remember having to be at a hospital. I remember my disdain. It was awful. And I remember my refusing to see him. I am so sorry. I remember justifying it later as not wanting to remember him like that. So stupid. In tubes. Now all I do is remember him like that. Remember me like that. A teenager. Remember my not knowing any better. Remember desperately needing an advisor. I remember thinking, I have no idea what's happened. Dad? I remember silence. I remember sirens. I remember anger, and what's worst, you know what sticks with me most is I remember my remorse. Third course, the event lights up, green court, blue sky. It's like 3 o'clock in California. It's pretty hot outside. I'm playing tennis, and I'm captain. It's practice. See a figure from a distance. It's my brother. He's the oldest, and our eyes meet, and it hits. It's not practice. His presence here means it's happened. He doesn't say anything to me. He speaks to my coach only. And I know slowly to just pack my racket and all my things. And audience, this was the split because I suddenly think only about my homework and all the school I'll be missing. It is amazing how immediately we displace things. Push them out of the light. We push them to the left a little so they get left alone a little, but they build. They build, and I think that's guilt, right? Death instantly reprioritizes one's life without asking permission. It's primal. Don't die. Repeat lesson 1, survival. So my brother had told all my teachers, but not me, and I remember I had no idea what was happening, but in retrospect, I guess it was a beginning. Enter the word father, and then enter the word missing, enter this new emotion, enter the idea of lacking, enter being without something, enter wanting to shout. The father that had made me feel so different for so long, simply because he talked funny and couldn't really walk, was now making me feel even more different because he was gone. Enter the word wrong. Enter the word repercussions. Enter no one to talk to. Enter unknown strength. Thank God. Enter self-discussion. Enter gumption. Man, I got so lucky that I had me. Because I could have been anybody. Enter what not to mention how self-centered I am. I am 15 again. I'm not telling my friends, all these girls in Beverly Hills, I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I don't have anything to wear to the funeral, like it's so important. Enter the truth of it, borrowing clothes from a friend. She's skinnier than me. They don't fit. I look like an idiot. I had no idea how little that mattered then. You guys, I had no idea my father had so many friends. I had no idea that my father was a legend. Had no idea how much he had overcome. I had no idea how many people would show up. I had no idea how many of them had met me when I was young. I had no idea who my father really was. I had no idea how lucky I was. No idea. None. Did you know that my father helped to pass laws so he could go to the same school as all the others? Do you know what Jersey was like in the 50s? Do you know that his spinal cord was just 3 degrees away from being completely healthy? Diana, did you know that your grandparents were saintly? No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he sat at the dining room table as a teenager and held his right hand with his left like that and tapped, slowly away at the typewriter, letter by letter, keeping the sentences still always together in his head, no matter how long it took him. Like Fred, I didn't know how long the journey was from head to pen. I don't know what it's like to take handwriting for granted. I mean, I write furiously, and it makes me furious. It makes me feel very guilty. I didn't know waking up and taking a step was unbelievably hard for him. I didn't know they told him he could never walk without braces. I didn't know that he then proved them wrong and went places like Hollywood at age 19 to write for the silver screen. Johnny Carson hired my father to write jokes for him. And my dad was Italian, so can you imagine how proud his parents must have been? God, I am making this all sound so romantic now, and I often get scared it's just my imagination, but it seems simple. Our parents are people, and families are vacuums. Our foregrounds are our living rooms. They are forums where all of our opinions are formed. And I'd like to say that it is only now I can say how very proud I am to have been born. Thank you so much.
That's about